Every single day, 8 billion people wake up on this planet. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water, we share the same sky, but not the same future. Some wake up to opportunity, to full meals, to schools and hospitals. Others wake up to hunger, to poverty, to a world already falling apart. And somewhere in between, there is us, watching, waiting, but for how long? In 2015, 193 countries made a promise to every person on this planet, a promise that no one would be left behind. We called it the Sustainable Development Goals. 17 goals, one deadline in the year 2030, and the clock is ticking. This is not just a United Nations agenda, this is a global responsibility. And today, we are here to talk about what those goals are, why they matter, and why every single one of us has a role to play. Welcome to our campaign, One World, 17 Goals, Our Future Starts Now.
So, in 17 Sustainable Development Goals has 5 P's framework. First one is people. So, ensuring that all individuals can live with dignity and equality. And they focus this on poverty, hunger, health, education, and gender equality. Second P is planet. Planet is protecting the Earth ecosystem and resources for the future generation, so we can have a clean water, energy, climate action, life below water, life on land. The third P is prosperity. It's promoting inclusive economic growth and innovation, and have decent work industry, infrastructure, sustainable cities. Fourth P is peace. It is building society that are just safe and free from conflict. And we have justice, strong institution, equality before law. The last P is partnership. So, in Sustainable Development Goal, strengthening global cooperation to achieve all goals together, and have collaboration between nation, organization, and communities. That was the 5 P's on Sustainable Development Goals.
In 2023, about 733 million people, around 9.2% of the world population, were affected by hunger. As of 2024, about 700 million people, around 8.5% of the world population, still live below the international poverty line of $2.15 per day. 2023, about 4.8 million children under age 5 died, mostly from preventable causes. Nearly half of the world's population, about 3.6 billion people, still lacks full access to essential health services.
Today, I will talk about some of the biggest global issues affecting millions of people around the world: poverty, hunger, and climate change. Even though our world continues to develop with the new technology and opportunities, many people still struggle to meet their basic needs every day. The COVID-19 pandemic also made these problems worse and slowed global progress towards a better future. According to the World Bank, nearly 700 million people still live in extreme poverty, surviving on very little income each day. Many families struggle to afford food, clean water, education, and healthcare. Poverty is especially severe in countries affected by conflict, economic crisis, and natural disasters. Children are among the most affected, with millions growing up without proper nutrition or access to education. How COVID-19 reversed SDG progress? The COVID-19 pandemic had a major impact on the world and reversed progress toward the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs. Millions of people lost a job and income, schools closed, hunger increased, and healthcare system became overwhelmed. According to a report from the United Nations and the World Health Organization, Many global development goals are now off track because of the pandemic, climate change, and ongoing conflict. Who is the most affected? The people most affected by these issues include children, low-income families, refugees and displaced communities, people living in developing countries, communities affected by climate disaster and war. These groups often lack access to basic needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, clean water, and education. Poverty, hunger, and climate change continue to affect millions of people around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic made this problem even worse and slowed global progress toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Many vulnerable groups, especially children, low-income families, and refugees and communities affected by disaster, continue to struggle every day for basic needs such as shelter, healthcare, and education. These issues remind us that global problems require global action. Government, organizations, and individuals all have a responsibility to help create a better and more equal future for everyone.
As of early 2026, SDG for quality education progress is hindered by 272 million out of school children and youth, while SDG 5 gender equality shows legal barriers remaining in 47% of survey countries, with 19% of young women married before 18. Climate change, intertwined with both goals, drives poverty and threatens educational infrastructure. Independent climate agencies confirm that 2024 was the warmest year since global records began in 1850, driven by long-term human-induced greenhouse gas emissions and a strong El Niño. In 2023, global wealth inequality remained extreme, with the top 1% of adults owning 47.5% of all global wealth, approximately 214 trillion, while the bottom 40% held less than 1%. Wealth concentration grew as the top 0.001% held three times more wealth than bottom 50% of the global population. Global projections indicate that full gender equality remains centuries away, with recent estimates suggesting it will take nearly 300 years to achieve, according to UN Women. Despite progress in specific areas, crisis, conflict, and a global backlash against women's rights have stalled or reversed early advancement. Global wealth inequality is extreme. The top 1% holds roughly 45% to 47.5% of all global wealth, while the bottom 50% own just 1 to 2%. The wealth gap is widening, with the richest 1% accumulating 38% of all new wealth since 1995, while the bottom half gained only 2%.
The four moral principles, justice, responsibility, solidarity, and stewardship, help explain the ethical side of sustainable development. These principles are closely connected to globalization because people, countries, and economies are increasingly linked. Globalization affects how we live, consume, and interact, making personal responsibility important in achieving sustainable development. What does justice mean in the context of global development? Justice in global development means fairness in the distribution of resources, opportunities, and responsibilities among people and nations. It focuses on reducing inequality and ensuring that everyone has access to basic needs such as education, healthcare, food, and clean water. Justice also considers environmental fairness, especially for communities that suffer most from climate change, despite contributing the least to it. In sustainable development, justice support the idea of leaving no one behind.
News. Progress already made. SDG success stories. Million more people now have access to electricity and clean energy. Solar and wind power are becoming cheaper and more widely used. Extreme poverty decreased greatly between 1990 and 2015. More children worldwide attend school today. Child mortality and infectious disease have declined. Renewable energy progress. Renewable energy is one of the fastest growing energy sources. Solar panels and wind turbines are now cheaper than many fossil fuels. Rural communities are gaining electricity through off-grid solar system. Poverty reduction milestone. Global extreme poverty was cut dramatically over recent decades. More countries now provide healthcare, school meals, and financial support programs. International cooperation has improved living conditions for millions. Hopeful closing. Progress proves that change is possible. While challenges remain, people, communities, and countries working together can still achieve the SDGs and create a more sustainable and equal future by 2030.
17 Goals of Sustainable Development. SDGs aim to transform our world. They are a call to action to end poverty and inequality, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy health, justice, and prosperity. It is critical that no one is left behind. Philippine SDG Progress Report. The 2025 Sustainable Development Report indicates that the Philippines is making related improvements in meeting its SDG targets. Especially, the country is on track to achieve 31.6% of the SDG targets, while there is limited progress in 41.8% of the targets. There is also a decrease in the worsening indicator compared to data from last year, signifying a slight improvement in our efforts to achieve the targets. These trends underscore the need for more urgent action towards achieving the SDGs and ensuring a brighter and more sustainable future for the Philippines and the whole world. Youth Activism Sustainable Development Goals. This year's International Youth Day shines an eye spotlight on the extraordinary potential and pressing challenges facing young people, especially young women and girls, as they strive to turn global commitments into meaningful, community-driven change. For the 1.2 billion young people aged 15 to 24 in the world, roughly half of whom are young women and girls, the stakes in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) have never been higher, and the challenges more evident. Women's rights are human rights. Progress in fulfilling those rights has stalled and in some areas regressed. In a world facing profound global uncertainty, rising geopolitical tensions, economic instability, shrinking civic space, and deepening inequalities, young women and girls continue to lead the way ahead. Accelerating gender equality gains where they matter most in schools, marketplace, village councils, parliaments, and online space. They are advocating for rights, challenges stereotypes, innovating climate solutions, and confronting discriminations and violence head-on. Be a global citizen. Act with passion and compassion. Help us make this world safer and more sustainable today and for the generation that will follow us. That is our moral responsibility. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. This is a call to action for collective responsibility toward humanity and the environment.